Going on YouTube fam, Mariar again. Time for another video. This time we're finally doing it. We're finally swapping out the tires on my 2019 Zx6R. Two reasons. Number one, I want the better handling. Number two, I want to learn how to wheelie. That's right, I've been trying to wheelie for a couple years, and apparently these stock tires are so hard. I've revved and I've revved and I've rev bombed, and I just wind up spinning the rear tire, and it's just a nightmare. So anyway, but better handling is obviously number one. Okay, so what we're gonna do, I have looked online. I've watched 10, 20, 30 videos. There is no video that I've found that shows the entire process, taking the rear wheel off, the front wheel off, changing the tires, putting both wheels back on, all in the same video. Sometimes I find the rear tire swap, the front tire swap, sometimes just the tire swap with like random tools you can find in your garage, all that crap. Now me, personally, I'm going to take the wheels off. I'll show you that. I'm going to take the wheels to my local bike shop. They're going to put the new tires on and balance them. Then I will put the wheels back on the bike. And I'm going to do all of that in one video. So let me show you the tools we're going to need. Obviously, we're going to need two bike stands because I'm going to obviously I already have it up. I'm going to put the bike up. Two bike stands. This one is a universal bike stand from Harbor Freight. This is another one from Harbor Freight. It's a little bit better. And this goes on the spools on the rear end. Now the front, I ran into a little problem earlier. Trying to put them in, if you put them in the right spot, this particular bike stand, if you put it underneath the axle or the forks, put it directly under the forks where it's supposed to go, it blocks the axle. I can't get the axle out. So what I did was I brought it back a little bit. It's sitting on, this is all cast as one piece of steel. So I put it back here. I know I shouldn't have. And I know I'm gonna get crap for it, but it was the only way to get this axle out. So, you know, you do you, I'm doing me. I'm just showing you how I am doing mine. You don't have to follow me, but you can't follow me. It's up to you. So here's the tools I'm going to use. 1/2 inch socket handle, a 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter, a 6mm Allen key that goes on a ratchet handle, and this is the 3/8. That's why I need the adapter. This is a tool. I found it on Amazon. This was literally $9 on Amazon. I had it in one day. We need the 22mm section on this. That goes in the front axle hole. If I can find it, right there. That goes in there, and then the end is 3/8. So that's another reason why I have that adapter. So that was $9 on Amazon. 32mm socket. This is for the castle nut on the rear axle. Two 12mm wrenches. These are some Harbor Freight specials. This black set from Harbor Freight actually is like some really good quality. It fits really tight. This silver cheap kit I got is kind of not real tight. Pair of needle nose pliers for the cotter pin on the castle nut on the rear axle. A breaker bar. You're going to need a breaker bar because some of the bolts are pretty tight. Grease for when we put the axles back on. This is just a white lithium grease, multi-purpose. Has a picture of a motorbike on there. That's why I got it. A deadblow mallet for pounding out the rear axle if need be. And when we put everything back on, I have a foot-pounds torque wrench. Okay, so now, I already had tried to film this video, and I wound up filming this entire thing in high speed, 100 frames a second, because I was doing another project before, and I forgot to swap the settings. So I literally had the whole front wheel off before I realized that the settings on this camera were off. So, refilming it, a lot of the bolts are already loose, so it'll be a lot quicker. I'm gonna speed through some of it. Here's the new tires I'm putting on. The newer Diablo Rosso 4s. These are apparently supposed to be better than the 3s, stickier or something. These are super sticky tires. If you ride aggressive, these are gonna wear out quick. I do not ride aggressive. Maybe once I start getting into some wheelies, but different story. Rear tire on the 2019 Zx6R, 180, 55, 17. Front tire, 120, 70, 17. So I'm gonna have the dealer or the local shop put those on and balance them for me. That way I can't screw it up. Okay, so let's get on it. I've already loosened most of the bolts because I was already filming this, but I'll still show you the whole process. Make sure if your bike is already, if your rear wheel is already aligned and everything and you like how it is and it's set right, make sure you pay attention to these marks. I am aware, and I'm sure a lot of people are aware, that these marks from the factory can be off. after all, this whole thing is all welded on, so these marks could be slightly off. So you can't, there is no like, where is it supposed to go kind of thing. My bike is already set, and more than likely if you're doing this as a noob, your bike is probably already set, your chain's good, unless you're swapping your own chain out. If you're swapping your own chain out, then you're gonna have to worry about realigning your rear tire and all that. I'm not swapping the rear chain out, or the chain out. So I'm gonna go off these marks. I've already snapped a photo. It's hard to see, but there's marks there. The silver, there's a line on the silver part, and then there's lines on the black part. So I'm at like 1, 2, 3 3/4 in, but I snapped a photo on my phone so I can put it back in the exact spot because mine's already riding good. Same thing on the other side. Now see, this isn't the same as that. I already figured it out. If you go here, this is like 1, 2, 3 1/4. So it's, this line is actually off by a few millimeters or so. So there's plenty of tools they make to, you can get the rear wheel aligned and all that. That's a different video. I'm not showing that. Just if you're swapping out like I am, put the marks back where they are and you should be good to go. Okay, so first thing I did is I took my needle nose pliers and I went ahead and I took this cotter pin out. I've already flattened it. Usually this is all flared out. These two ends are flared out on this cotter pin. So I had already flattened it and took it all off and everything. So just to show you though, this cotter pin's in here. You pull that out, okay? And then while the bike was on the floor, I went ahead and I loosened the castle nut on here. So this is what that big 32mm socket's for. I cracked it loose while the weight of the bike was still on the tire. Now I can take it off the rest of the way. Front wheel I already had off, so this will be real easy. So first thing I did while this was on the ground is I took the 20mm section of this special wrench on a breaker bar with my 3/8 adapter. Unless you have a 3/8 breaker bar, that'll work too. So anyway, basically I cracked this bolt loose just like that. This is the entire axle, is this bolt, or is this thing right here. So unscrew that, that's loose. Then I went and I took these brake calipers off, and that's where my fancy 12mm wrench came in handy. And like I said, I already loosened these bolts, and these were easy to come out by hand. They're a little bit of a pop, but they came loose fairly easy. I didn't need any special tools or, you know, leverage bars or anything on here. I'll speed all this up. The biggest snag I had was with this front jack stand. Putting it where it's supposed to go, I couldn't get that axle out. So that was kind of a pain. And I know you shouldn't put it back here, but I'm doing it anyway. All right, there's the 2 bolts. I grabbed a cinder block so I could, you know, wiggle your caliper around so that way your brake pads move in a little bit. It'll be easier to put on later. Okay, set that up there. You don't want it hanging on your brake line. Go to the other side. Leave that here. Come over here real quick. I've got another cinder block because I just happen to have a whole pile of them out back. You can use whatever, there's anything to hang your... Okay, same thing. These 2 silver bolts back here that hold your caliper on. Break them loose. Take them out. What do you think about my hair? I got the dragon braids going on in there. Looks pretty cool, huh? Getting ready for the Ohio Viking Festival this Saturday. Anybody going? Let's go. All right, so get these bolts out, maybe. All right, so that's out, that's out. Get this cinder block up in here. Wiggle that a little bit to loosen it up. Should come right off. I didn't have any issue pulling those off. Those came right off. Set that up there, out of the way. Now we're gonna go back around and we're gonna take that axle out. Super easy to stick in there. So I had to buy the tool, I had to wait a day, but that's all right. So that comes out fairly easily. Now it's gonna get so far and then it's gonna get tough because the wheel's gonna fall. It's not, you don't want it to fall. So I'm gonna stop here in a second, right about now, and I'm gonna come over in the front and I'm gonna do this one-handed. I'm gonna put my foot underneath the wheel, prop it up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use my other arm and unscrew that. Oh, I guess I gotta unscrew it the right way. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. if you're above the equator. Remember, water spins counterclockwise in the toilet if you're below the equator. Or maybe it's the other way around, can't remember. I think I'm out. Just wiggle the wheel. There we go. All right, there's the axle. We're gonna clean it and grease it when we put it back in. So we'll do that last. And then your wheel, there you go. Front wheel is off. Now careful when you lay it down because you got the, you got your rotors on here. You don't want to, I wouldn't even lay it down. I'm gonna go ahead and stand it up right here. You don't want to lay that down. Okay. Rear wheel, which should be a lot, well, not a lot easier, but it'll be hopefully easy. Gotta get this castle nut off back here, which I need that giant 32 millimeter socket. Okay. Here's the 32 millimeter socket. It's ginormous. Harbor Freight actually had one in stock. I couldn't believe it. Just a single. I didn't have to buy a whole set or anything. Look at that. Okay. It's a castle nut and it looks like a washer. You want to make sure you keep that together so you don't forget it. There's the castle nut. Here's a washer. I'm just going to set them right down here on the floor with the cotter pin. You're going to need the cotter pin back. Now here's your two wrenches. Two 12 millimeter wrenches like I mentioned before. And back this one off. So you need one wrench to hold the actual bolt head, and then you need another wrench to loosen the lock nut on there. We're just going to loosen that up because we want to be able to, want this whole thing to slide however it goes. I'm going to do the other side too. Loosen this side. Same thing, 2 wrenches. Oops. Uh-oh, it looks like this is not a 12 millimeter nut, guys. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it is. See, both these wrenches fit different. It's so bizarre. They're both 12 millimeter, but they're shaped different. Something's going on there. Okay. That should be fine. I don't even know why I even had to do that, to be honest. Okay. Then, got the castle nut off. Got that off. Now we're just going to go ahead and screw these in a little bit to get the, oh yeah, you got to get the tension off the chain. That's what we're trying to do. So, loosen that lock nut, screw that nut in, and now we can move the whole thing. All right. We got to get this rear caliper off. The rear one stays on the bike. Yeah, the rear one stays on the bike. There's a little notch in there. So you stay right here. I'm gonna take my deadblow mallet. And I'm gonna tap on the axle on the other side. There she goes. Look how easy. Super easy. Okay, now they say, you stick your foot under there again. Wiggle that out. And there you go. There's the axle. And I'm going to go ahead and leave that one part on there. Okay. And the chain's got to come off. We'll roll it up. Roll it up and get this big dirty chain off here. Maybe. There we go. Yep, there's 2 spacers that go in there. I forgot about. They go in right here, just like this. So when you put that wheel back on, there's one on each side. We'll clean all them up and grease those up too. So those go in there. Don't forget about those spacers. Make sure you keep the spacers on the right side of the bike. This one here is shaped different. They're shaped 2 different shapes. So make sure you keep them on the correct side of the bike. Okay, and we're going to take the rear wheel out. Well, here, come back on this side. This caliper's in the way. So, but from what I understand, there's just like a notch that it slides in. I gotta figure out how it slides in there. is, there's this little tray right, this little notch right here. And then there's a lump, there's I'll show you. Now you shouldn't let that hang, but I have no other option right now. So I'm just gonna let it hang there, nice and carefully. Okay, there's the rear wheel. Perfect. Now, the tire sticks out farther than your rotor, so I can lay this one down carefully. Now, come over here if you see. Actually, I can show you all this when we put the tire back on. But there's a notch right here. You see this thing? This little thing sticks out. That's where your caliper goes. Over here, bud. Over here. If you see this tray, that'll slide right on that notch when you go to put this stuff back on. Just like that. Okay? So we'll leave that sit there for now. That'll keep the weight off the line. And we're gonna go and we're gonna put get the new tires put on the rims. And we'll be back. Back from the bike shop, got the tires put on. Huge shout out to Hartford Cycles, where I'm at, out in Hartford, Ohio. It's a fairly new bike shop, but they were the cheapest price around for putting new tires on rims, and it was so quick and fast, in and out. And I kept the old tires just to have them. I mean, they are kind of beat up, but you know, in a pinch they'll work if something happens to these tires here. But anyway, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get this front tire put back on, because I don't like the way that this front of the motorcycle is up on this jack stand. So let's get the front tire on, get that lowered back down, and then we'll work on the back tire. Okay? All right, so if you're looking at this tire, you can see the pattern here. The pattern goes kind of goes like this. That's how you want it to face the front of the bike. If you spin this around, then they face out like this. You don't want it like that. You want them like this. So we're gonna keep it like that. So another thing that I forgot to say was when I took these tires to the bike shop, there were two spacers right here that were still inside the wheel right here, and I didn't realize they were in there. They actually came out when they were balancing the tires. So luckily we found them, one on each side. They look to be identical, but if I were you, when you're taking these wheels off, I would maybe try to keep these spacers on the right side, the correct side of the bike that they came off of. Of course, I don't know what side they came off of now, so I'm just gonna clean them up, put new grease on them, and we're gonna put them back in. So let me get paper towels. All I'm gonna do is wipe these babies off. I mean, you can use brake cleaner, you can use whatever you got, but I'm just gonna use paper towel to get this done quick here. There we go, nice and clean, fairly clean. Okay, I'll do both of them and then I'll put the grease on. Okay, nice and clean. We got our multi-purpose lithium grease. Picture of a motorbike on there. I had to mix it up. It was sitting on the shelf for a little while. So I got a paper towels here, so I'm just gonna dip my finger in there a little bit and rub that around. Rub it around in there. I guess you don't need to go too heavy. You don't need to go crazy with it. Of course, I just did. Okay, so there's one. We're gonna go ahead and slide it in there. That's a nice, right there. You're gonna need a lot of paper towels. This is a dirty job, I'm telling you. Okay. And this next one. Greasing up that one. Stick that one in there like that. Okay, we got our wheel spacers in there. Now, we're gonna go ahead and pop this back in and try to get that, oh, the axle. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and lube up the axle. Let's clean that up. Now this part, you just wanna put, a little bit on. Pretty good. You don't need, you can actually wipe most of that off. You just need a little bit on there. Want a thin layer on there. You probably don't want to get any on the thread. There we go. Nice thin coating. All that needs there. Okay. There, now, I'm gonna try to put this wheel up in here. maybe. Gently wiggle that wheel, wiggle the wheel. There we go. Now, there we go. Now it's in there and we can get it started. Okay. So now I'm going to need my breaker bar. And I'm going to need my special 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter. And this special tool for the 22 millimeter. Now we can stick that in there and start rotating her in there. There she goes. Oh, sorry, Bubba. There she goes. Look at that, nice and easy. Okay, now go ahead and hand tighten her pretty tight. Okay, the torque spec for this, 94 foot-pounds. It's actually 93.7, but I'm not doing no 0.7. And it's foot-pounds. So, I know I explained this in multiple other videos, but if you're using one of these that's not digital, you start with the 0 on that center line. Make sure you're on the foot-pound side, because this also goes to kilograms or whatever. So I'm on foot-pounds, and you start with that 0. So we need to go to 94, which means we need to figure out where 90 is. You got 70, 80, 90's on the left side. So, and it has a little curved line, so you want to be at the bottom of that curved line. So I'm going to screw this in all the way until the 0 is on the 90 line, which is right, it's on there right now. So 90's up here, you can see 90, and then if you match those two lines up, and now we want to go to 94. So we're just going to rotate this until that number 4 is on the line. Now we're at 94 foot-pounds, okay? And this is a 1/2 inch, so we're going to need to use that adapter. 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter. Put this back on here, so we got the 22. And now we can put it in there and crank it down. Let me get this side right here. Okay, we're tightening her up. There it goes. Here, click. And I always click it once or twice just to make sure. There you go, 94 foot-pounds. Okay, now that's in there. Let's put these calipers back on. Now there's a torque spec for that too, so I'll tell you that in a second. Let me get these screwed on. There, that went right on there. They seat in there real nice. There is a torque spec for these, but of course I don't have a wrench that will, well, actually I do, but I'm just going to crank these down pretty tight by hand. But the torque spec is 25 foot-pounds. If you want to get technical, you can go ahead and crank it down. Get a get a socket on there and crank it to 25 foot-pounds. Now the axle clamp bolts are 15 foot-pounds. That's these up in the front. That's these ones here that you got the 6mm wrench for. So I'm just gonna go ahead and crank those down by hand too, because that came right off. That wasn't even tight. So anything tighter than what it was when I pulled it off should be fine. I don't need my wrenches. Need a wrench. Okay, get these cranked in there. Okay, I'm just going to take my hand, I'm just going to give it a good couple jerks. Get that really tight like that. As tight as I can get it by hand. And I'm going to be good with that. Okay, so this one, I can torque these down. These bolts here are only, what did I say it was? It was 15 foot-pounds. I don't even know if I'd go to 15 foot-pounds. 20. So I could probably start it at 20 foot-pounds. That would probably be fine. Be a little bit over tight, but better to be over tight than under tight, right? Until you start breaking stuff. There you go. See, that wasn't even that tight. So I just went to 20 foot-pounds because that's what this wrench starts at. And that's still, I feel like it could be tighter, but hey, that's what the specs say. I'm going by the specs. Get our table out of the way, and we're gonna go to the other side. Okay, now we're on the other side, so let's go ahead and put this caliper back on. Make sure you're getting in between your brake pads. That'd be pretty embarrassing. That one went in really fast. Get our table out of the way. Oh gosh. Okay. Again, I'm just gonna pull this tight, just as tight as I can get it, really. You can go ahead and torque it down if you want. I said torque it down, not torque it down. All right. Let me give it a nice, good, as tight as I can get it. That's pretty good. Okay, now we can let the front wheel down. This should be tight. All right, let's let that down because I don't trust that thing. All right, yep, it all looks good. Everything's on. Okay, here we go. There we are. There we are. All right, let's go to the rear wheel. That's pretty good, huh? Okay, rear wheel. The rear wheel is easy because the chain only goes on one side. So you can't really mess this up. I guess you could, but first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and clean those spacers. Relube them. Now these spacers are different sizes, so remember, it looks like this this big one here came off of the chain side. Old Benny Moto will help you guys out, figure it out. Big one goes on the chain side. And the miniature goes on the other side. Man, these are so dirty. This is why you see people on there spraying them with some brake cleaner and stuff. It would take that right off of there. I am fresh out of good brake cleaner, so I guess I got to do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, now a little bit of greasy grease. Now this stuff I'm putting on a little more liberally. Set that right there. Oh God.
Oh God.
There we go. Put that there. Okay, so get our wheel up. Put our big spacer in here. I think that's where it goes. It looks right. And then the other one goes in like so. There we are. Yep. Okay. Yep. Then you have your brake caliper. You got to pop that out of the socket there until you get your wheel in. Wheel goes in. Yeah. Wheel goes in, and then this has to slide in. Yep. Wheel goes in, then this slides in. So this is where it's going to be a little tricky. And I already lost a spacer. Yep. Lost my spacer on the other side. Oh my God, it's so greasy. Okay. Well, I lost that spacer. Okay. There we go. Okay, is this in place?
Come on. What's wrong with you?
There, it's in. Okay. They didn't tell you how much of a pain this was going to be. Where's that axle? Okay, let's clean that axle and get it ready to go. Nice thin coating on those axles. Okay, that's good. A whole roll of paper towels down. You know? All right, and then this goes this way. Want to make sure your lines are facing the right way. All right, cameraman, if you want to do me a favor and hold that and push on it when I get that wheel up in the right spot. Actually, hold on now. I got to get that chain in there. Don't forget to get that chain up in there. Those damn spacers. Yep, got to get the chain up in there. Forget that. Chain, chain, chain. There you go. Chain's in. Spacers out. Spacers in. Okay, I'm gonna have my partner help me. Hold on one second. Keep it out right there. This is tricky. There we go. There you go. All right, you might need a helper because that was hard. Go ahead. This has to go a certain way so you can mark your lines. Okay, that's nothing. That was just that other silver piece on the other side. There we go. All right, trusty rubber mallet. Ah, yes, that's a great feeling when it all goes in there. Okay, so we'll worry about those marks in a minute. As long as you got this silver piece oriented correctly to where you can still see that line in there, which we can. Make sure your caliper is attached to your rotor and it's attached to your bike. That was a pain. Make sure your spacers are in there on the correct sides, which they are. All right, now come over here at the camera. Remember the castle nut, you got the washer first, and then the castle nut. Okay, but we don't want to crank that down yet. That's nice and loose, our rear tire moves. So now we're gonna adjust our spacers and put our little marks where our little marks are supposed to be. Okay, so mine, black wrench right there. Nope, the little one. Yep. Okay, mine I remember was 3 lines in and then a quarter line. So we're gonna, this might be a slow, tedious process here, but you wanna do it right. Unscrew this outside one, because that's what's gonna push your rear axle farther back. Tighten up the chain. Don't worry about that other one yet. Okay, now that it's tight on there, crank it. Try this wrench. Here we go. All right. Now we're gonna come back and forth and check them, because right now I'm teetering the axle, so I'm almost where it was at. It was right about there. A little more. All right, I'll go the other side. We're gonna crank that one out. Now this one was like 3 3/4, I remember. Which it's actually pretty much there. Almost there. Yeah, it's right about there. Okay, now I'm not gonna crank it yet. I just want to double check this one. It's still there at 3 1/4. Okay, that's good. Now there's tools they make where you can, you know, you can double check all your stuff and make sure your chain's straight and everything. I have another video where I was changing the chain on Mrs. Moto's R3, and you could see one of the tools that I use. I explain it in there, so you can always go back and watch that. But for this video, I'm back on my lines. I like it. Now I'm gonna crank this, it's just where you need 2 wrenches, because that one moves. All right. Right about there is where I want it. And then we're going to use this other one, and we're going to tighten that bolt up. All right. Nice and tight. Okay, that's where I want it. We're going to tighten this one up, same exact way. I'm going to get my head in there just to check. Yep, I'm right where I want it. And then I'm going to tighten this up. Just like that. Now, last step is to tighten that castle nut. This is what's really going to pinch your swing arm together. So, what do I need? Oh yeah. This is also 93.7 foot-pounds. But I'm going to go ahead and set this thing to 94. 93.7. I'm going to 94. 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at 94 now. Foot-pounds, yep. Here, click. That's how you know you're there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it a little bit more, because I want to get to that. There's a pinhole in there. You need to get to that pinhole to put your cotter pin in. Almost there. Almost there. Is just a little bit more. There. So, I just went a little bit over tight just to get it there. I'd rather be tighter than looser. There's your cotter pin. Now all we're going to do is we're going to spread those. We're going to spread the little feet just like that. 1 and 2. I like to get those up there pretty good so you don't snag them on anything and break them off. Because if you break them off, then they'll come out a lot easier. If I can get up in there. There we go. Nice. That's what I wanted. There, see that? That ain't not coming out. Okay, so we got our lines where they're supposed to be. We got our castle nut torqued down. We got our new rubbers on. I can't wait to go try these out. Looks pretty good. Then we're gonna lower the bike carefully because you don't want it to fall down the wrong way. You want it to fall onto the kickstand. Kickstand's down. And lean it. Boom. And done. All right, guys, that's it from start to finish. I'm sorry I couldn't show you any footage of the tires being changed, but like I said, it's a new shop, and I didn't really want to get in their way or anything. You know, they had a lot going on. Next video will be me testing out these tires. So I'm not going to test them here. The video's already pretty long. So next video, we'll test them out, maybe try to pop some wheelies. So if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up so you know when another video is coming, and I'll catch you in the next one.